No, the one you lived in before that was where Matthew and I met. And I went back there last year or the year before.
Kensington?
Because
Kensington Street or?
the street the Anglican church is in, I don't know what it's called.
Kensington. Yeah. I'm pretty sure
or
I
Kensington
wasn't.
Road or something.
Yeah. But anyway, I had to meet a friend there, and I got a train that got me there half an hour early. So in that time, I went for the walk. No, it was the street all right, but I couldn't find the house because, of course, there's a lot of apartments and duplexes and things, and I couldn't remember the number. And Matt had no idea of the number, and I've asked anybody else in the family and they couldn't remember the number because I just wanted to be able to stand outside the house and say, oh, that's where we had met.
Percival and Penshurst have changed so much.
That
I can't believe
Percival. But that house you had with the big hole in Jeffrey Street, wasn't it? Jeffrey Street or Jeffrey Avenue or Godfrey Street?
Godfrey, yeah. Because I remember when Tippy got run over, our dog.
I remember
Tippy.
Tippy.
Shattered.
Yeah.
Was Tippy died in Wollongong?
No, that was another dog. Mum just called it Tippy. That dog followed us when we lived at Bellambi. He just walked through the shop and come out the back. But I never told Mum that I was used to leave food.
You, at my parents', this is the other question I was going to ask. You were a groomsman at my parents' wedding. Were you the best man?
No.
Just the groomsman. There were only two.
Yeah.
Who was the other guy? Can you recall him?
I can't.
No, he was a friend of Dad's.
I always remember that wedding. That was real old school because Mary, not only was she the mother of the groom, but she was in her apron, she's doing all the catering as well. Like none of these wedding planners or getting reception places to do it. You organise it yourself.
In those days, though, it was so different. We all had weddings like that, didn't we? We had our wedding in the church hall, and the Catholic ladies group did the catering. You know, that was that's what you did in, or else in your own backyard.
It's so expensive now.
Oh well, you never paid any of that money you do nowadays.
I found these pictures of your grandparents were very very good ones. Here's a picture of your dad with them. And if you have a look at
that's in Woonsall, yeah.
And on the back, you see that sticky stuff and that. I found it very hard, and it's.
I know we've got those photo albums with the self-sticking things, and to try and get them off's impossible. Did you find a way to get them off or not?
Not really.
If I don't lose the place, can I have a look at this?
Yeah.
He's a chap with that.
People to know. Oh, there's Ali with the banjo, Matty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you want to come and see? With her two girlfriends?
Yeah.
Now, which is the one that you were telling me about with the Montessori school? One of those two? Matt was saying her very closest friend was with the Montessori school.
I don't know.
I see, this is in Holland, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I see pictures of her.
I don't know.
Can't remember anymore.
Do you remember their names?
No.
He would have up until just recently because he...
That was a photo. There's a photo of this girl, and have a look on the back here. Someone, I think it was Joshua said, "Oh, is that your girlfriend, Dad?" And you made nothing. And then I found this one. See, it says there, "I love you."
Oh, that's Betty.
That's Betty.
That's Betty from Wales, Matt. Betty Rowe.
Oh, yeah.
She was Theo's girlfriend.
Yes, she was. Yeah.
And I'll tell you something, Jared. She gave Matt his very first kiss.
Ah!
That's why Josh would have said, "Is that your girlfriend, Dad?"
Yeah.
She came
Was she
over.
a lovely girl?
Betty Rowe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She came over to stay with
What
you
was
in
it
Holland.
English like? Was it her Dutch? Could she speak Dutch?
No.
So Theo could speak English
Oh yeah.
at that time.
Oh yeah. He was in Wales. He was being trained there in the Dutch Navy. They had a base there in what was it? Holyhead.
Holyhead, yeah. Matt, is that you in that strange house?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh, there we got that.
That's
you.
Moose, yeah.
Yeah, and that's Matthew.
Yeah, and I think it's written on there. Sorry, I know it's not written on there. I think
No.
somebody made a comment on it. So
Yeah, it
that's
was.
my mum,
John,
John, Theo and Matthew. At the
Oh,
wedding.
there's Ellie van Gestel.
Yeah, that's what
I
I was
took that.
thinking.
I took that, I think that, where was that taken?
I
Was that
don't
at
know, but
Matthew's?
there's Peter and Simon.
Yeah.
I took them, so they're not very clear photos.
No,
so
your
are they?
father holding, there's Matthew, your father's holding Debbie,
Melissa.
I think.
Or Melissa.
Oh, Melissa it might be.
Look at
That's
mum.
not here, is it?
No,
No.
this is a, there's mum there. That was, I took those pictures probably in the late 70s.
There's Ellie again, Theo.
Mum went through, that was a nice dress that she's got on there.
Peter and Simon and Helene.
Yeah.
And that looks like Bill. And Philip. I don't know who that is.
Mark?
Might be Mark. Yeah, it probably is Mark. Yeah, because Mark and Peter are the same age, so that's who it'd be. And Helene, they're all much the same age. But
So
two,
this picture here, this one here, looks like Mum wrote all the ages. Is
Yeah.
that because she's got Mama and Papa? So obviously that wasn't written by your mum. That looks
Yeah,
like my mum's.
yeah, like I said, Jared, they all write exactly the same in that perfect Dutch writing. So when you get
Someone
a letter
made a
from-
comment to Jared
Yes.
about how neat the handwriting is, like it was very important.
Right, still the copybook writing. If you get a letter from any of them, you never know which one it's from, just from the envelope. You know, you can't say, "Oh, this is a letter from Magda or whoever," because they've got that Dutch writing.
Where was that taken at that your
No,
at that house
that's at our house in
on the back?
in
Yeah.
Stra-
That was a photo I did put up with Mum when our daughter was born, the youngest, Renee. Mum
Didn't
and
your mother was mad about the grandchildren?
yeah, but I
Every
think
one of them.
I definitely think Ben was. Jared says Ben loves his Dutch heritage, and
Oh yeah,
I think
Ben
he was
does.
close to Mum. I think because he used to respond to her.
Oh,
The other
she-
kids were Aussies, you know.
I don't know. She loved all the grandchildren, and she'd go to Carmel's, and she'd come back and be telling
Yeah,
us all
she had
about
the brag
them
books.
all, and-
Yeah.
In the bag, all the
Carmel's-
photos.
And what was their daughter's name?
Well, you've got Carrie Ann and Nicole.
Oh, the two of
twins.
them, the twins. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. No, I'm
And then
forgetting Daniel. Yeah.
Carrie Ann lives in Sydney.
Yes, we saw her again on TV a couple of years ago. She and her husband or a partner were again involved in one of those
Yeah,
weight
the-
loss things.
Just, you know.
She came across as a very nice person on the TV show. Anyway, that's we were watching it, and I said to Matt, "I'm sure that has to be Carmel's daughter."
Yeah.
Carrie Ann and him were doing this. It was, I don't know how, this couple of years ago that we were watching, and it was about people, and that's what we saw it on, and the two of them, and I forget what the whole
Yeah,
show was
I
about.
know what you mean. I forget.
It was interesting anyway.
When with your dad, like you saying, like, was it true that Mum didn't want to come here to Australia? Was she one that
No, she didn't want to.
she really resisted?
I was telling Michael
See-
about the bike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they drive the Mary said
Yeah.
that she got bribed with a bike because she loved bike riding.
Ah, okay.
She
Her
loved the
grandfather
bike.
said you can have a bike when you go to
No, well,
Australia.
she could bring her bike with her.
Yeah.
She loved her bike.
She had that bike and she wanted
So how
to
old
bring
was
it
she?
with her.
She was 22. So her friends, 22-year-old, yeah, I can understand that. 22 would have pretty well set friends, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Did she have a boyfriend over there,
No.
22-year-old?
No,
No?
no.
No, she had a couple of very close girlfriends, so they're
Yeah.
probably the ones that she was playing the
With
band
Mum, I
with.
remember watching this show years ago called Luke's Kingdom about this family that emigrated to Australia in the sailboats. And the father was in the middle of the boat and he was talking to another passenger and they're saying, oh, how's your family? Think they'll like the trip? And he says, well, look, he's got his eldest son was looking forward to going to the new country, but his daughter
Was looking
was sitting
back.
in the back, looking back, lamenting that she was leaving England, you know.
No,
He's saying,
Ali,
what can I do?
Ali didn't want to come.
No.
And that's what they promised her. She could go back in after 2 years if she didn't
Yeah,
want
that's
to.
what Mick was saying. That's you said that. That was your.
Yeah. Ali and Theo. Theo was going to stay in Holland too.
He
Theo
was in a
was in a
monastery.
monastery.
He was going to be a brother or
He
a
was
priest.
going to be a priest.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Did
I
you
think
know
it
that?
was a Sacred Heart or something.
I didn't know that, but that's like, I suppose up to the war, that was a common thing. A lot of
Well,
people
he
would-
came out of Indonesia and I always thought that something happened in Indonesia what made him decide to lead a religious life.
Mm.
He would have seen
And
something.
that's what when he came back, he out of the Navy, he wanted to do something like that.
But he was going to stay there, wasn't he? And then
Yeah.
when just before, only
Just before we
weeks
left,
before you left.
he decided to come with us, and Dad had to pay his fare after all the money was spent on the trip and everything, and getting the house here.
Yeah,
And then all of a sudden Theo decided to come with
because
us.
it wasn't like the £10 poms, was it?
Oh no,
No, like
Oh,
if
no,
you weren't, if you
And
no,
weren't
then,
near
and then you
English.
didn't have a cabin.
No,
No, there was the big women's place
Oh.
and the men's place.
that ship we were on was a ship used for taking armies
There was
from
a
one
troop carrier.
place.
So you never
Troop
have a
carrier,
cabin
that's all
with
it was.
no cabin with a balcony.
No, oh no, there were cabins there, but they were for only on the top deck. There were only a few of them there.
Your mother and father would meet to go for a walk around the boat before they went to bed at night, didn't
Yeah.
they?
might have been the detention centre now, is it? What's that called in Sydney?
Long Bay.
Bellwood.
Villawood.
Oh,
I think there was. They used
it
to
was
have
a
a bunch
migrant
of
camp, yeah.
villa. You know, they had those Nissan huts like McCall's Navy.
Well, that's what you were in at Bathurst, wasn't it?
Yeah,
How long were you in Bathurst for? Do you
I
remember?
was only there for about a week.
Matthew, John and Theo came to Sydney first, didn't they? And then
Yeah.
with a day
They-
or a few days later you came
Yes.
down.
Yeah.
But your mum and dad and the kids, how long were they there? A few months, were they?
Yeah,
While your father was looking
about
for a
2 or
house.
3 months, yeah.
So he,
Next year is 70 years. You knew that.
Yeah.
So 51. He died in 55.
Yeah.
That's so, and it was sad to hear that he was, having a bit of a tough time.
but Jared, do you imagine yourself if, he, like I said, and not just close family, but he was really the one they all looked to, wasn't he?
Yeah, Oh
Your
yes.
father
He was
was,
a fine-looking man.
but he was also, I shouldn't say the brains of the family, but he must have been the leader of the family, because when any of the others would be having problems or things they wanted to discuss, they came to your father, didn't they?
That's
And-
like Uncle Antone, the butcher from across the road. He would come for advice to
So, you know, he
And
was
was
taken
the sort
away
of
from all of
yeah,
that.
family we had.
that's the
They
network.
would get together
Yeah.
at our place, and
You lose that network.
So
Well,
did
that
he
completely-
do a lot of letter writing, or was he not a letter
no,
back to his
no,
family?
we just with.
When he came to
Commerce.
Australia, he wrote a lot of letters.
Oh yes.
Constantly.
So
Have
that's
you got any of his letters or letters?
Oh yeah, I've got.
We've only got one letter from
You-
our grandfather, but I'm sure he
I've got
wrote a
them
lot
all.
of letters.
You haven't got the letters he wrote to Holland.
Yeah. The diary.
Yeah, that,
No, the diary, that, yeah,
when
I
they
know
came to
that.
Australia.
But when they came to Australia, but letters
Oh,
after
no,
he was settled
those
to you
letters,
haven't got
no,
anything.
no.
But he wrote letters all the time. But see,
Yeah.
that's the other thing, Jared. Then he came here, and as I said to you before, he had trouble learning English. So he had nobody that he could sit down and talk to, apart
But he-
from your place was always every Sunday was the meeting place for all the Dutch community, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I look, and one thing I look at all the photos on that Van Gestel page, the Van Gestels in Australia. I looked at a lot of the pictures of Penzers. Is it Penzers or
Yeah,
Mortal?
Penzers,
Penzers.
Pickers.
Pickers.
Because
It looked like it was party central.
Every
Yeah.
Sunday was,
Yeah.
and he was a party. He was a
Yeah.
party man, wasn't he?
Oh,
He
yeah.
loved the company.
he loved the company of other people.
And who was the Dutch priest? I know that
Coonan.
he was in a lot of photos.
Oh,
like he
Father
must have,
Jacquemin.
Yeah.
Father Jacquemin. Father Coonan was much later.
yeah,
But
Which
Father
is the one
Jacquemin.
that the two
they must have
was
played an
at-
important part for
the-
migrants.
The two priests that were at your dad's funeral.
Father Jacquemin,
Yeah.
and the other one would have been Father Breen, probably the parish
Yeah.
priest from Peak.
But you weren't going out with Matthew then, were you?
No, I didn't know.
There was a
him.
girl there next to you.
That was his
Yeah.
girlfriend, Alexandra.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be doing the talking. I should be letting you do it.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was you, and then I think it was Magda said, "Oh no, that he wasn't going out with."
No, I didn't meet. Your father was dead 4 or 5 years before I met you,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
That picture is a brutal picture. I look at that picture and I see like my mum's with
Homer.
Homer. I think it was Hans, very close, close to the camera.
Yep,
Then you have Willie
was at his mother's feet.
feet. My dad there, so he had to be there somewhere. He was behind her. Then I saw, it is a terrible. Who took that picture?
It probably would have been Ali's camera.
So someone had it.
Ali was the only
Yeah,
one
but
who
one of
had
the Dutch,
camera.
one of the Dutch people may have had cameras.
Yeah, they might have had.
Would have been a big funeral. But you imagine they were family and with 11 kids, and your mother and Matt's mother and father, who were so close and loved each other, and she had just, or they, the whole family had gone through the father dying, that whole process, and in awful pain. And well, he was a morphine addict in the end, wasn't he? He was
Oh, yeah.
screaming for his injections all the time, and they'd gone through all that, and then there he was. And what happens to our lives now, you know?
Yeah, that's it. In a new country,
We-
was your mum close to giving it up and going back home?
No,
Well, she wouldn't have had the money to go
no,
back
she-
home anyway.
I don't think she ever thought of it until John took her over.
Yeah, but I mean, there was
for
no
the
money.
first time.
You've got, I mean, money was in short supply. They had nothing. Now, she came, Matt's mother, I'd say, deserved not just a medal, she's a saint.
I'm going to put
She-
this on YouTube.
Came from a life in Holland where she wanted for nothing. She had servants, maids to do things. And then they came to this little 3-bedroom house without any lounge room or anything, you know, it was just the one room where the big table was, where you could sit around. There was a kitchen which wouldn't have been as big as our toilet probably, where she cooked for 13 people. And she had to do all her own cooking and cleaning and washing and ironing. And okay, your mother and Mika and Tony, they were helping too, but they had to find jobs. And she never ever complained. Never ever. She joined a church group, and she only went once because she said, I don't want to go and hear other people's troubles, I've got enough of mine. I don't go out for that, I go out to get away from things. But the money, there was never, I mean, you could consider she was going to the kids going to Catholic schools and trying to pay fees or uniforms and things.
There would have been no pension back then,
No,
so how did she get the money for the house?
They'd paid a deposit.
Through us.
John and your mother and Matthew.
Yeah.
Mika. And then Tony started to work. She went to school first, but she started working.
But all our wages went
was all handed to them to her,
and then
she gave them spending.
Theo got married, or Theo got out of it all. He went
to Wollongong.
Bush. No, okay. Theo married, Ali married, John married, Mika married, Tony married, and I was left with contributing to the smaller ones.
No wonder you took in boarders.
I was
They didn't take in boarders till after. Matt, by the time we got married, Chris had started work.
Yeah.
He was doing the plastering, but she still had Hans, Willie, Magda, and Ott, all at school. And then when we got married, Ott had gone into the army by that stage. Magda started work soon after, but that's when she took in boarders. So she went from having to cook and clean after all these people to having to do it for boarders too, because they, you know, she had to do everything for them.
She became Australian. She got naturalised.
Oh, she did she?
Yeah.
And
the little ones all
that
did.
gave her a bit of a pension, from then on.
Have you got her citizenship papers?
No.
Yeah, because we were living in Queen's Parade. Because I remember...
She died, Peter was born in 65, she died 66.
Yeah, because we were in Queen's Parade. Because I do remember, I can't recall which brothers came down, but two brothers come down to tell Mum.
She died in 1966. She
was feeding the rabbits.
Before that. But
we had two rabbits, and Mum was feeding them out the back.
Yeah.
And the two brothers come and told her, and Mum was shattered. No wonder two came down. I think John might have been one, I'm not sure.
I don't know. Hans and Barbara, Hans's first wife, were living there at the time, and they found her died in her sleep, I think.
Was she sick leading up to her death?
She had cancer. She had lung cancer. Such beautiful, beautiful work. You've got no idea.
I got this picture, this frame. It's something I got, I think it was for me communion.
With
a prayer on it, but it was all stitched.
Yeah, she did things like that, but she only did that when that would have probably been your communion, because she had time going over on the boat to Holland.
Right.
And she started doing that type of thing.
I think the communion was 1963, wasn't it, Jared? Jared knows
That'd be
more
right,
about it.
because Ellie was born 1963, and she did one for Ellie too.
Oh, right.
Ellie's birth.
Yeah.
But
we're all got...
I married a saint over there.
Oh, well, there you go.
I always say I won the lottery when I got him.
I don't know if you're tongue in cheek or not.
No, serious, Gerald. I am serious. We don't. I wouldn't say we're like his mother and father. Our kids know very well we have lots of discussions, Matthew and I, when we don't agree. But I still say I won the lottery when I got him.
That's good. That's really good.
Yep.
So how many years you been married for?
60.
Yeah.
That's how I know how old you are.
Makes my 40 years.
You'll be 60 this year.
Makes my 40 years seem minuscule.
Yep. We were a lot younger when we went to your wedding. We went down for your wedding.
Yeah, I remember that. That was at the Bowls Club. That's a block of units, yeah.
Oh, Lordy.
See if I can find that letter.
It was a weird time too because it was a week after Christmas, 29th of December, which was a strange time to have thing, but Kay was pregnant.
Your father wouldn't have been happy about that.
Oh, Dad was pretty cool about it, but the priest who married us, Father Stevens, he wasn't real happy about it.
Oh.
He even had a shot in the church at us. He said, he
He
just
turned out to be a friend of Theo Felix's because he came here one day.
Yeah, he was very strict, Father Stevens.
Father, they came here, he and Theo Felix, and Matt was at work, and they called in here and I made them a cup of tea and he asked me for a couple of Panadol. He had a dreadful migraine headache that I didn't take to him at all.
No, he was very political. Like, I remember in Queen's Parade, he was warning everyone that Bob Hawke was going to be the dictator in Australia. This was in the 60s. And
wrong family to be doing that with.
yeah.
Oh,
Dad would agree with him. But
Dad
because your dad was DLP.
yeah.
Yes.
He was only liberal like the rest of us were for a while. When the DLP broke up,
Yeah.
That caused a lot.
But I
of
like the other
problems,
priest. I found
Shocking
out,
troubles.
Jared, we were talking about him because a friend of Jared's posted a photo of my class at St Francis Saviour's, and we were going through and there was a priest in the middle, and it was Father Hazlitt. And he was the parish priest there before Father Stevens. But I just went on the net and found a lot of interesting stuff about him, how his uncle played for Australia in cricket.
Yeah.
And
Lindsay.
no, it wasn't Lindsay Hazlitt. No, he had another name. It was his mother's brother. So I don't know what her... But yeah, he had quite an interesting thing. But yeah, poor old Father Hazlitt, he was a nice bloke. I never liked Father Stevens too much.
No, well, I only met him that once, and and for some reason I couldn't pin it down why I didn't like him.
But Dad loved him. Like, he was the one who insisted that we get married at Unanderra Church, so Father Stevens could marry. But he was there and he was saying, "Oh, I'm sure the Frees will be very happy."
Yeah.
Isn't that
And then he added Kay, Michael, and the Holy Spirit. But we knew because Kay looked at me and I looked at him.
Rude, I think. Good Lord.
I was very political.
Do you remember the shop we had in Wollongong?
Yep, I remember it well.
And Dad used to always be sleeping in the back.
Yep. I remember it well. I said. I remember the house in Queen's Parade. I remember the shop.
Dad wasn't a merchant like your father, was he?
No.
Your father was quite successful.
Yes.
Your father in all these little paper shops that he had around the place,
I
and
always got
left
a
your poor
theory on
mother
that.
to it.
Yeah, I always got the theory that he thought that once he bought a business, that was it. That was his retirement. That
You got to work.
businesses, you got to work. And he bought that McPhee's at the wrong time because that was just when supermarkets started. You know, the old corner shops, they were on death row then because it was just too expensive.
There you go.
Go to Bali, then China, go to Bali.